Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia. Welcome back. Another episode of Model Railroading Adventures with Bill. Today, I'm gonna be back over on the N scale layout. And what I'm gonna start doing in this episode is it's time to start working on the little town of Alta. So I have been contemplating what I wanted to do for the road. I've looked at paper products, pre-printed roads, doing some glue and then, fine grain ballast, kind of make it look like blacktop. So ultimately what I've settled on is a technique that I've used over on the HO scale layout, where I use Hydrocal. I dig a foundation for the road. So what I'll do, and you'll see this, is I will come in with a knife and I will mark off where everything is. I'll cut down about 1/4 of an inch, and then I've got a tool used in the automotive industry, I believe, for tires to break the bead between the tire and the rim. And I'll dig out this so that I can get a road that's actually poured about 1/4 inch deep. It'll be able to grab onto the pink foam. I'll be able to come in with a stick and a piece of board, actually, not a stick, but a board, run it across here, and then flatten it out, smooth it out, so that I get a nice roadway. Then I'm going to come back in. And places like over here, I will build up a little bit of either styrene or board to make like a little elevated, about 1/8 of an inch. So I can do another pour, set these buildings on it. That'll be a sidewalk. Over on the rest of these, probably do a pour over here as well for a sidewalk. So I've got a lot to do, but that's what's going to be on this video. So I'm going to do the cuts, and then I'm going to start digging out pink foam. So that'll be the next segment on this one. So for this part, I'm going to show a little bit about how I get my road bed started. You can see here it's down roughly 1/4 of an inch. Here's what I believe is a tire tool for a bead breaker. This area, you can see it's got a different texture. So what I do is I groove it with a knife, and you can see a lot of little grooves in here where I use the knife to kind of get it ready. Then I come in and I will pull this across, and you can see how it breaks up the chunks into smaller little squares. And I just go back and forth across it. I'll get stuff that's going to fly, but it breaks it up and it makes it easy for the next step. Next step is simply just coming in at the front, and I start at the one side and just work my way across, and I can pull the little beads out and I can send them flying all over the layout. I will have to get the tweezers out because I've got a number of them already that have landed in my forest. But you can see it's not that hard to make a sub base in pink foam board. That doesn't go all the way through. It's not, compromising the integrity of the pink foam board. And then what I'll do is I'll mix up Hydrocal and I'll pour it in. But take it off. At the end, you'll use a vacuum cleaner just to kind of clean up the little pieces. The rough texture on the foam board grabs the Hydrocal. Once it's in, it's not going anywhere. So I'll show this again after I get it all done. So under that pile of rubble is the base for a highway going through the town of Alta. So I've got it all carved out. I will come in and clean it up. You can see generally 1/4 of an inch deep, plenty to build up a nice base of Hydrocal, and still not be that heavy so that I can lift it off whenever I need access to the lower tracks and the storage that I've got underneath. So next piece, I'll have it cleaned up and actually probably prepped as well, because I've got to build little dams on the side here and on that side over there, and I'll be about ready for Hydrocal at that point. All right, Hydrocal Dam is built on one end of the road. So I've got a small piece of balsa wood. I do have it held in place with a couple of nails, paneling nails. I've got the little ridges on them so they bite, and then taped in place with thick blue painter's tape. More than enough to kind of hold the Hydrocal, because as it comes out it sets quick. So here you can just see on the other side, before I put the tape on, nails angled into the foam board on both pieces here. This one's actually a little lower because I'm making it where the road is kind of going up into the city just a little bit. So I'll tape that up, and next I'm going to get the Hydrocal ready. So more here in just a second. Well, I just completed the pour. So everything is still wet yet, and I will let this sit for a while. Because it's in the pink foam board, it takes actually several days to 100% cure as the moisture slowly wicks up and then evaporates. But this is going to work out okay. So what I'll do is let it dry fairly well. Then I'm going to come in with some light sandpaper and just kind of knock down some of the higher points that are on this, and just some of the work marks, which is fine. Then, after I get that done, I will be able to come in with a sharp X-Acto knife, and I'll be able to cut into the pink foam board and kind of go at about a 45-degree angle out, just like 1/8 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch, and just sort of trim along the road to create sort of the gully, the drop-off feature that you'll see along most roads. Over here, I did have a gully already carved. You can still see the remnants of the one over here. I will redo those, and I'll take care of that. And then when I get over to where the buildings are here and over here, I probably still will cut out, but I'll cut more of a straight little sliver out where I can put, again, just a little piece of balsa wood or something in there as a form, so I can build this up, all of probably a 1/16 of an inch, just enough so that I can make some sidewalk in and around here and go from there. I might actually take out the pink foam board in this area just for this one spot where I'm going to have the buildings. Over here, just where I've got the kit buildings, and then where the station is, I'm just going to kind of leave that the way it is. And then I'll just do scenery work around it. Over on this side, I've got to sand it smooth as well. But I think this is going to work. I think I'll be able to get the desired texture out of it that I want. And then I'll paint it sort of an off grayish black using chalks. I also will come in after it cures, probably for about a day, and I'll put some pavement lines, not the markers, but just the cuts for where they've cut concrete for a pour along here, and then see how that looks. Again, similar to what I've done over on the HO scale road. So a lot more to come, but that's going to be all I'm going to do for tonight. Just kind of let this cure for a while before I come back and do anything else with it. So I'm a little farther on Alta. I still have not sanded, but I have come in and I've started doing some carving along the road to get some of the ditches in place. Set the buildings back in, and I'm just going to leave them in location until it dries. Then I'll take them off again when I do some sanding. But I'm going to put like a sign right there, with a little cop car behind it. Alta is a speed trap little town. I will put a piece of flex track right here once I start working on this part for scenery. I did carve into the hillside a little bit, and I'll do just like I did on the other mountains when I get to that part. I will put in a couple of nails or screws with the heads out so that sculpt mold will stick, and I'll scenic that up. Over on this side, again, a little bit of carving coming off, and it's looking pretty good. You know, I need to let it sit for a couple of days before I do any more work on the road, and that's all right. And I probably, well, I don't know, I might put a bit of a curve into this. This is going to come across here. This road in my world will kind of curve off this way as it continues to go down and then go diagonal under this line. You know, who knows, maybe someday I'll build onto this if I ever get a basement. But anyway, that's where we're at now. Next segment on this is going to be probably at least a couple of days after this one ends. You know, as we do our layouts, there's always changes that we make on the fly. One of them that I did because I realized, you know what? I was being stupid and making more work for myself, thinking I was going to pour a miniature pad underneath the buildings that would look good by the time I was done with it. So it's like I honestly suddenly remembered that I had sheet styrene that I was planning on using for this very purpose. It's a sign that getting older when you forget about that. So it's like, what is it? Let me come over here, trying not to get anybody sick. So I used 0.04 inch thick plain sheet styrene. I've got another sheet over there for other buildings. So I cut it to the right size, and then I came back in, and even though it's kind of hard to see yet, I grooved it to make it look like concrete pads. I will smooth the lines, I will paint, and then weather so that I can have some lines for the sidewalk going around the buildings. And eventually, I will affix it to the pink foam board and some of the plaster using white glue. That works pretty good. I'll rough up the pink foam board underneath so it's got some bite, put some scratches on the underside of the styrene too so it's got some bite. But you know what, that's going to work out pretty well. It looks pretty good. Even though it's kind of hard to see, I even did like a curb cut so that when it's weathered, it should kind of look like you'd see in most typical towns. The plaster is still very damp, so I'm still not going to do anything until it dries. Then I'll sand it and make that look good. I ordered some lines, N-scale street marking lines off of eBay today. Once I get it all sanded, get it down, like I said, I'll weather it, I'll groove it as well. But you know what? I think this is going to be it for this video. I will come back in the next one, pick up where I left off, do more with the roads, and I'll probably, by that point in time, have everything I need to at least get the roads done, and then I'll start on the scenery around it. I've got buildings to paint, I've got some track to lay, scenery to do, trees to go, grass to put down, all kinds of stuff in the city of Alta. So this will be a multi-video presentation as I work my way through this particular one. So more to come on this one in the next episode. So everybody take care and keep having fun on your layouts.